Deva Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtike Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pricharine Nirviseshasha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 27. We are hearing how, because all the different senses are there in the body of the Lord, that's how we also have our different senses. So reading on Text 27. Utshikskor dhatu malam nirabhidya tave gudam tata payus tato mitra Utsarga Ubha Shrayaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, when he desired to evacuate the refuse of eatables, the evacuating hole, anus, and the sensory organ thereof developed, along with the controlling deity Mitra. The sensory organ and the evacuating substance are both under the shelter of the controlling deity. Even in the matter of evacuating stool, the refuse is controlled. So how can the living entity claim to be independent? So this function is there in the Lord to evacuate, is there in the universal form of the Lord, and that's why we have it. And the Mitra is the name of the demigod who's controlling it. If he wouldn't allow it, we wouldn't be able to even relieve ourselves every day. Then what would we do? And yet we are always thinking we are independent. So text 28, Ashish Pura Purya Nabhi Dwaram Apanatah Tatra Panas Tato Mrityu Prathaktvam Ubhayashrayam. Thereafter, when he desired to move from one body to another, the navel and the air of departure and death were combinedly created. The navel is the shelter for both, namely death and the separating force. The prana vayu continues the life, and the apana vayu stops the living force. So prana vayu and apana vayu are different types of air inside the body. There are 5 kinds of vital air in the body, and prana vayu is the reason why the soul can be in the body. Once the prana vayu leaves, the soul cannot be there anymore. The soul leaves. And that's why in Hindi many times we say that iske pran chale gaye. That pran that is referred is that the one of the different air. Both the vibrations are generated from the abdominal hole, the navel. This navel is the joint from one body to the other. Lord Brahma was born of the abdominal hole of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu as a separate body. And the same principle is followed even in the birth of any ordinary body. The body of the child develops from the body of the mother. And when the child is separated from the body of the mother, it is separated by cutting the navel joint. And that is the way the Supreme Lord manifested himself as separated many. The living entities are therefore separated parts and thus have no independence. So as Lord Brahma is coming from the navel of the Supreme Lord, we can see also when the living entity is born, the living entity is attached to the mother with the navel. And that's how the Jat Karma ceremony has to be performed, to cut the navel. So when the Lord also, when he decided he wanted to expand, even he was expanding like this, with the navel. So text 29.
Sorry, how is navel the shelter for both death? Like for birth, it is there, but how?
Well, it's here, it's said. I'm not sure that how does the air of departure and death were combined. The shelter, the navel is the shelter for both, namely death and the separating force. So I know that it's because of the pran that the soul continues to live in the body. You know, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And here, but it's written here, the pranavayu continues and the apanavayu stops the living force. Both the vibrations are generated from the abdominal hole, the navel, because the living force and the stopping of the force, living force, they both are generated in the navel. That's why the navel is the shelter of both. The pranavayu and apanavayu are both created at the navel area.
Okay. So the pran is the one that and apan vayu?
Apanvayu is the one that stops the living force. It's also there.
Okay.
Both the
Okay.
vibrations are generated from the abdominal hole.
Okay.
Both
Okay.
of them are generated in the navel.
Yeah, this is mentioned in the Gita Ji as well, in the 15th chapter. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehimashita Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyanyan Chaturvidam. Lord Krishna says in Gita Ji also.
So what's the translation?
It's the Krishna himself who controls the pran and apan vayu in anyone's body.
Yes.
And is in the Aham Vaishwanaro. He is in the form of Vaishwanar, Lord Vaishwanar. He keeps the energy, the light in our stomach alive.
Yes.
Jatharagni. We say in Gujarati Jatharagni. Yeah.
Yeah, so Krishna is that's the reason we can stay in any body. Right?
Yeah.
He's the living force.
Yeah.
Okay. So text 29. Aditsor anapananam asan kukshi antranadayah nadya sam.
Sorry, we were on 33, 2.10.33.
Oh yeah. Huh? I'm sorry.
We were doing 2.10.33. No?
No, we didn't read this.
Okay.
We haven't read, no? Yesterday we finished till
28.
We finished 26 yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how
Okay,
we
sorry.
started.
Okay, sorry.
27 we just read. 28
Yeah.
we read just now.
Okay, sorry.
And we are
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Aditsor anapananam asan kukshi antranadayah yadya samudrascha tayos tushtihi pushtistat ashraye. When there was a desire to have food and drink, the abdomen and the intestines and also the arteries became manifested. The rivers and seas are the source of their sustenance and metabolism. The controlling deities of the intestines are the rivers, and those of the arteries, the seas. Fulfillment of the belly with food and drink is the cause of sustenance, and the metabolism of the food and drink replaces the waste of bodily energies. Therefore, the body's health is dependent on healthy actions of the intestines and the arteries. The rivers and the seas, being the controlling deities of the two, keep the intestines and the arteries in healthy order. So Krishna also, the universal form, he has this abdomen and intestines, and because he was desiring to have food and drink, so how to digest it, where is the food going to be? And the rivers and the seas, they are the controlling deity of the arteries and the intestines. So text 30. So the seas and the rivers, they are the arteries and the intestines of the Supreme Lord, of the universal Lord, in the body of the universal Lord. Nididhyasor atmamayam hridayam nirabhidyata tato manas chandra iti sankalpa kama evacha. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire became manifested. The heart of every living entity is the seat of the Supersoul, Paramatma, a plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead. So the Paramatma is sitting in the heart of every living entity. Without his presence, the living entity cannot get into the working energy according to his past deeds. The living entities who are conditioned in the material world are manifested in the creation in terms of respective inclinations inherent in them, and the requisite material body is offered to each and every one of them by the material energy under the direction of the Super Soul. So it depends on our desires, what desires we have, what kind of thoughts we have, that is creating our body, our next body. And based on the karma and our desire, we will get another body, which is given to us by Mother Nature. We cannot choose it. And Mother Nature is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord, under the direction of the Paramatma, because the Paramatma is recording, he knows all our desires. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. When, therefore, the Super Soul is situated in the heart of the conditioned soul, the requisite mind is manifested in the conditioned soul, and he becomes conscious of his occupation as one is conscious of his duty after waking up from slumber. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that from me, because he is the Super Soul in the heart, from him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He's the reason that once we wake up in the morning, he's the one who reminds us, hey, yesterday, these were your desires. You know, you wanted to do this and you wanted to do that. So it's because of the Paramatma in the heart that we have this. Therefore, the material mind of the living entity develops when the Super Soul sits on his heart, after which the mind, the controlling deity moon, and then the activities of the mind, namely thinking, feeling, and willing, all take place. So the mind is under the control of the demigod called Moon. The mind is under his control. And then what are the activities of the mind? You see, because we are always thinking that we are the mind. You know, there are three ways of calling the self. One, Atma, the soul. Another, we think we are this body. And another, we think we are the mind. Yeah. And what are the functions of the mind? functions of the mind is thinking. We have a lot of thoughts, feeling our emotions, and willing that, yes, I'm gonna do it. And then also there's two, that it accepts and it rejects. So the mind accepts any situation which we think we are gonna be happy in, and it rejects anything, any proposal which comes our way. It could be somebody saying something to us or any circumstance that's happening, which we feel is not gonna be making us happy. All that is activities of the mind. The activities of the mind cannot begin without the manifestation of the heart. And the heart becomes manifested when the Lord wants to see the activities of the material creation. So the mind is the mirror of the heart. You know, it is the reflection of the heart. And that's the reason we keep saying, clean the heart. And then the first verse of the Shikshastakam, that by chanting the holy name, what happens? That the mirror of the mind, which is the mirror of the heart, which is the mind, that gets cleaned. You know. So, reading on, text 31. Tvacharma mamsa rudira medo majasti dhatavaha bhumi aptejo maya sapta prano vyomambu vayubhihi. The 7 elements of the body, namely the thin layer on the skin itself, the flesh, blood, fat, marrow, and bone are all made of earth, water, and fire. Whereas the life breath is produced by the sky, water, and air. So we can see how Bhagavatam is telling us so much in detail of how this body is made, you know. The construction of the whole material world is prominently made by 3 elements, namely earth, water, and fire. But the living force is produced by sky, air, and water. So water is the common element in both the gross and subtle forms of all material creation. And it should be noted herewith that due to necessity, water being most prominent in the material creation is the principal element of all the 5. So water is required to make the gross elements that we are able to see, and also the life airs, the pran vayu, the apan vayu, all the 5 types of life airs. So water is a necessity, and that's why majority of the universe is filled with water. We can see even our body is composed 70% of water. This material body is thus an embodiment of the 5 elements, and the gross manifestation is perceived because of 3, namely earth, water, and fire. So our gross body, what we can see, it is made of earth, water, and fire. Sensations of touch are perceived due to the thin layer on the skin, and the bone is as good as hard stone. So if we didn't have the skin, we wouldn't be able to feel the touch. It's because the skin has this touch sensation. The breathing air of life is produced of sky, air, and water, and therefore open air, regular bath, and ample space in which to live are favorable for healthy vitality. So these are the basic things that we need for our life. No, we need good fresh air, and then we need to drink a lot of water and also keep our body clean by taking a bath. So fresh produce from the earth like grains and vegetables, as well as fresh water and heat, is good for the upkeep of the gross body. So Bhagavatam is saying about everything. Text 32. Gunatmakan indriyani bhutadi prabhava gunaha manas sarva vikaratma buddhir vijnana rupini. The sense organs are attached to the modes of material nature, and the modes of material nature are products of the false ego. The mind is subjected to all kinds of material experiences, happiness and distress, and the intelligence is the feature of the mind's deliberation. Illusioned by the material nature, the living entity identifies with false ego. More clearly, when the living entity is entrapped by the material body, he at once identifies with the bodily relationships, forgetting his own identity as spirit soul. So we are inside the body and we think we are the body, and we think whatever is in relation to this body is mine. My family, my parents, my siblings, my spouse, my job, my home, everything is mine. And this is our false ego. This is due to our false ego. This false ego associates with different modes of material nature, and thus the senses become attached to the modes of material nature. So what are the modes of material nature? They are the goodness, passion, and ignorance. Mind is the instrument for feeling different material experiences. So it is through this mind that we are perceiving all the things, and we are feeling happy and we are feeling sad. It's because of the mind. You know, because the soul, we are the soul, actually the soul has no distress, but because we identify with the mind. So the example is given, for example, we go to a movie theater, and in the movie theater, suppose we are watching a very horror movie, you know, then we start feeling scared and we start identifying with the people inside. Although we are not inside the movie, it's totally different. We are sitting in a nice AC place, it's comfortable, nobody's troubling us, but our heart starts racing and we get into the emotions. How is that? Is because of the mind. So the same way, we, the soul, we are experiencing our world through this mind, and it's the mind that is experiencing the suffering of this material world. And because the mind is so close to us and we are identifying with the mind, we think we are the one who's suffering. But it's the mind actually. But intelligence is deliberative and can change everything for the better. The intelligent person, therefore, can attain salvation from the illusion of material existence by proper use of intelligence. So the senses, they are controlled by the mind, and the mind is controlled by the intelligence, and the intelligence is controlled by the soul. That is the proper way. But what has happened is that we are letting the mind control all. The mind control our intelligence. We are letting the mind control our senses. So we are making the mind the controller. Oh, I feel like doing it. I want to do that. All that is the mind. You know, but intelligence is like trying to understand the truth. That is the real intelligence. That let me find out who is the Supreme Lord, who is the controller. That is pure intelligence. That's true intelligence. The intelligent person, therefore, can attain salvation from the illusion of material existence by proper use of intelligence. An intelligent person can detect the awkward position of material existence and thus begin to inquire as to what he is. Why is he subjected to different kinds of miseries, and how to get rid of all miseries? And thus, by good association, an advanced intelligent person can turn towards the better life of self-realization. So we think somebody who is very good in the material duties, who is very witty, we think all that is intelligence. But what does Bhagavatam say? Bhagavatam says a person is intelligent if he can understand, why am I suffering here? Why should I be suffering? And how can I put an end to all this suffering? And if he really takes good association and begins self-realization, that is an intelligent person. It is advised, therefore, that an intelligent person associate with the great sages and saints who are on the path of salvation. By such association, one can receive instructions which are able to slacken the conditioned soul's attachment for matter. And thus, the intelligent man gradually gets rid of the illusion of matter and false ego and is promoted to the real life of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So what happens when we are associating with pure devotees? By hearing from them, by the words that they are speaking, our attachment for this matter is going to get looser and looser. Right now, we are too attached to this material world. And then the more we hear, our attachment to the material world will get lesser and lesser. And to that same degree, we will get more and more attached to Krishna, to hearing about him, to the devotees, to devotional service. And then what happens? Then we are slowly being situated in our true position. And so in that way, our false ego is going to be finished and we will be situated in the true ego. And so our illusion will be finished. And then we can be situated in our true position as Satchidananda. We are Satchidananda, full of eternal knowledge and bliss. We are actually suffering only because we identify with our body. And that's the illusion created by Maya. So I had heard a story by Guru Maharaj, attachment for matter. There was one man, he goes to his guru and he says that my family is too attached to me, they're not letting me go. I want to come and dedicate my life to you, but my family is just too attached to me. They really don't want to let me go. And my work is, so there's so many things, there's so many responsibilities that everyone just comes to me. They are also dependent on me, even in my work and everything. I cannot dedicate myself to you. So his guru told him, okay, no problem. You stay here tonight. Okay. And so the man asked him, so how I can tell these people to get detached from me? What can I do so that these people become detached from me? So the guru told him, okay, don't worry. Tomorrow I'll tell you. You sleep here tonight. So in the morning, when the man woke up, he saw that the guru was holding on to the tree, holding on tight to the tree and telling the tree, let me go. Why are you holding me? Let me go. Let me go. You're holding on to me. Let me go. So the man asked the guru, what happened, Guruji? Why are you saying, let me go? So the guru told him, this tree is holding on to me and is not letting me go. I want to get detached, but the tree is holding on to me. It's not letting me go. The man said, but you're holding on to the tree. You just have to open your arms and you will be free. So that's what the guru was trying to teach him through the instruction. We are attached to the matter. It's our attachments. We are thinking that, oh, our attachments are external, but actually our attachments are internal. We are the ones who's attached, and we can pray to Krishna, please, my dear Krishna, please cut all these attachments. And that's why in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that with the weapon of detachment, we have to detach ourselves. And how do we detach ourselves? Chant the Hare Krishna mantra. That is detachment. Not that we go sit in the forest and give up our family and renounce. That is artificial. But chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, that is our true detachment. Because then we are getting attached to Krishna. And encouraging others to chant also. So they can also be happy. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, so beautifully you said, like there is the bhajan also, Bhajahu Re Mat, Shri Nanda Nandana, Abhaya Charana Ravindare. So it is so beautiful. Like this is such an important thing that we think that it's me who is, but it's the mind that's making all the things happen.
Yes.
So we have to train the mind. I think that's the most important. We have to keep telling that, no, it's Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And then we have to put the mind in the service of Krishna.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. That if for a mind which is not controlled, it's your worst enemy. But with the same mind, if we can control it, it's our best friend.
Yes.
And what do we mean by saying control? that we constantly engage it in hearing and chanting, constantly engage in Krishna's service. Then the mind is the best friend, because Krishna says, fix your mind on me.
Yeah, it's there in the 12th chapter also, no? Of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, devotional service. Krishna says, fix your mind on me.
But the thoughts come in the mind, right? So then the intelligence decides. I mean, what is good, what is to be done, whether you should do this or you should not do it,
So
right?
the true intelligence, actually intelligence, Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, I forget which purport, he says that actually true intelligence is only the one who is taking us towards Krishna, making us help to make up, because we all have independent choice, right? So
Yes.
at that moment, when we are choosing Krishna, that is the correct use of our intelligence. And then with that intelligence, we are choosing Krishna, and then the mind is being under the control of the intelligence. So then our thoughts will be controlled.
Yeah, you're right. I heard in one of the lectures by Neeta Sevni Mataji, she said that we are empowering, we are following our mind. We have to empower our intelligence so that intelligence can tell the mind that, no, sit down, this is to be done.
Yeah.
Because then the intelligence will take the charge. Right now, our mind is the in charge. That is the problem with all the human beings. The mind is the in charge. Mera man kar raha hai, main ye karungi. But we are not seeing, because, or why our intelligence is not empowered? Because we are not following the Shastras. Once we know what is to be done, because we don't know the do's and the don'ts, we are creating the do's and the don'ts. That's why our mind is empowered. But when I will know that this is the intelligence, this is to be done, then my intelligence will tell my mind, you sit down, relax, this is not to be done. This is the right procedure. And then the mind will not have the power. Mind will not be the in charge of our senses. But right now, we have empowered our mind because we ourselves are doing things कि मेरा मन ये कर रहा है, मैं तो इतना ही ऐसे ही करूंगी, ऐसे ही ठीक है, कोई कुछ भी बोलेगा, मैं तो यही करूंगी, ऐसे घुमाया आरती 10 बजे भी कर लूंगी, 12 बजे भी कर लूंगी. So I'm empowering my mind right now.
But the thoughts come in the mind, no?
No,
yes, that is the
thoughts.
function.
The thoughts come, no?
Thoughts,
so that's
because that is the function of the mind.
Mind, yeah. So first is the thoughts, right?
No, first is definitely. But if we know what is right and wrong, we can tell the mind no.
See,
but because we ourselves don't know, right, Shilpa ji?
Yeah, because see, intelligence, as you correctly pointed out, when we are hearing from the Shastras, our intelligence gets purified. And then with that purified intelligence, we can take the correct decision. So then automatically our mind is going to be controlled, because the mind is like a wild monkey. It will go anywhere and everywhere. The thoughts will keep coming. The thoughts will keep going here and there. But if we are using our intelligence, then we will say, oh, I know my mind is telling me don't do this, but I know this is good for me. Let me wake up. Let me wake up and I have to chant my rounds because I know it's good for me. Although the thoughts are like, just go to sleep. You slept late last night. It's okay. You can wake up later. It's okay. You can chant tomorrow. That's what the mind keeps telling. But when the intelligence is empowered, as Neha was saying, that when we are hearing from the authorities, when we are hearing from Shastra, when we are associating with the devotees, our intelligence becomes stronger. Then with that intelligence, we will give a push. No, let me just get up. And then once we do that, then automatically the mind will follow, or the mind will say, okay, let me do it then. You know? And then what
also they say, right, like you create good thoughts, pure thoughts.
Yes,
right?
Yes, of course. Yeah,
so
we need to. Yeah, we need to create good thoughts. We need to remove the bad thoughts from our mind. But that also requires intelligence, because the mind actually wants to just think of bad things.
Yeah, the mind decides, right? Like, the intelligence.
Exactly, the intelligence. And right now, because we are thinking we are the mind, We are thinking we are the mind. And so we have given all the power to the mind. I'm feeling this, our feelings, you know, I'm feeling like this. And then based on that feeling, we are, all our activities, we are just basing on that feeling. But those feelings are temporary. We have to understand these feelings that we are having, these are temporary feelings and they will go. If by intelligence, if we can control the feeling, then automatically our thoughts also will be controlled. You know, because we are like, oh, I'm feeling tired. I feel this, I feel that. But if I say, no, it's okay, let me just do it. Then we'll
true. Like an example, last night was at 2 o'clock I slept. I thought I won't get up in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like, no, and the alarm rang and I said, no, I slept off. Then again, somehow, I don't know, that thing came that, no, I should get up. I got up late. Yeah. But yeah.
So that was your intelligence telling you that
intelligence telling,
yeah. Yeah. True. That's the intelligence. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining in, and have a happy Srila Prabhupada Appearance Day. We can express our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada because he had so many sleepless nights translating the Srimad Bhagavatam for us, leaving behind this great treasure of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, giving us Krishna. Krishna was hidden in Vrindavan. He gave Krishna to each and every one of us. And so we are eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada. You know? So today is a good day to express our gratitude to him. And thank you, everyone. Have a Krishna conscious day. Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Prabhupada, Hari Hari.